Well, we have had so many new members joining PT, landlords just starting out on their property journey, that we thought it might be helpful just to go back to basics. And I'm joined now by Nick Harris, who is Director of Northwood Lettings. And Nick, you're a landlord yourself, and I think when we all start out as landlords, we always have the same two fears. Will the tenant pay the rent on time, and will the tenant damage my property? And I think it's a universal kind of fear that novice landlords have. So what's your advice to landlords just starting out in that regard?
Do your homework, do your due diligence, pick your area, and really try to think about the tenant that will go into a property that you're looking to buy. So if you're buying a flat in the town or city centre, then you get one type of tenant versus a family home in the suburbs where you'll attract another type of tenant. Think about your market. Clearly, you have to make sure that the property is safe, that it's appealing to live in, and really try to understand the type of tenant that's going to go into the property, and do your homework on them as well. Make sure that that you've done your due diligence with the tenants, so you understand that they really are who they say they are, that they live where they say they live, that they can afford the rent. And this is where a good quality agent will come in by doing some tenant processing for you, carry out that due diligence, and making sure that the tenancy agreement is set up in the correct way, that you have a good quality inventory, that you've taken a security deposit which you protected correctly. I mean, there are many steps you need to go through, all of which seem obvious, and it's a simple process when you're experienced, but for the unexperienced, it's a minefield.
Well, it is, and you know, we just did a quick sort of tally up, and there are actually now over 100 government statutes and regulations that landlords have to adhere to. And I think for the novice landlord, one of the easiest ways to get started is actually to work with a reputable letting agent and kind of learn the ropes through working with that agent.
Absolutely. I mean, I certainly, as an agent over the years, have seen many new landlords that have come to us that have wanted to make an investment in property. They understand it's somewhere that's a good place for them to put their money if they buy right, but they don't really understand how to manage the tenancy. But then, as they've grown as landlords and they've learnt the machinations of letting a property out over the years, they've effectively stepped down from perhaps a full level of service to a part level of service to us simply introducing a tenant, because they learn the ropes themselves. They understand what to look for. You know, we worked with a whole range of different landlords. Most, I have to say, prefer to be hands off. It's generally a passive investment for those landlords that want to use a letting agent. They want some advice on the right type of property to buy. They want someone that will find a tenant for them, set the tenancy up, and send them the money once a month, and then know that they've got an exit plan. They can sell their property down the line should they experience good capital growth, perhaps, or their circumstances change. And that's really where we, as agents, come in.
And also, I think, you know, it's worth pointing out that people often talk about due diligence on a property deal, but actually you need to do due diligence across the entire landlord kind of life cycle. Due diligence on tenants, you mentioned, due diligence on lettings agents, due diligence on service providers. So, you know, for a novice landlord, there's an awful lot to take on board. How do you feel it's the best way for them to do that?
Well, clearly, I would say talk to Northwood. But other than that, there are various websites that you can go out and you can have a look at to explore. There are some great independent review websites where you can go and have a look and see what people in the area think of the agents that are there. Clearly, with review websites, people say they're great or they're terrible. There's never anything in between that says they're okay. So you can get some opposing views, but that can be good feedback. Have a look for industry accreditation. There's bodies such as ALA and NOW's Safe Agent, which Northwood is a founding member of, and go in and talk to the agents and interview them and see who will be dealing with your property. So will it be the person that's come out to see you at your property to sell to you effectively? Will they be your ongoing contact? If not, go and try and meet the ongoing contact and make sure that they're someone you can work with, because the agent may be good, but you need to make sure that the working relationship is good as well. And always have the option to to effectively change agent, change tenant, know that you've got a get out clause if you need to take that.
So what would be your number one tip for new landlords just starting out in 2015?
I think it's all about the area. If you're a brand new landlord and you're thinking of investing in buy-to-let, you need to make sure that you're doing so in a geographic area that you know and understand. Typically, landlords will buy in or very near to the hometown that they live in because they understand the rhythm of that town. They understand what property prices have done over recent years and perhaps what they might do in following years. They understand who the active local agents are because they see boards going up and down and they see leaflets going through letterboxes. So that would be my advice. Really get to understand the area that you're considering operating in. Study prices. You can get a huge amount of information off websites such as Rightmove and Zoopla, and try and then pick an agent that you're comfortable working with in your town and interview 2 or 3 of them.
And in fact, a local agent will very much help you with kind of sussing out what's the best kind of property to buy, because there might be an oversaturation of flats, whereas there might be not enough family homes. So actually kind of forming that relationship with an agent early on, you've got on the ground local knowledge.
Absolutely. I mean, you'll as you say, you'll find different areas have different levels of tenant demand, and I think it's important to ask the agents what they believe the tenant demand is. If you see 3 or 4 different agents, you should hear similar information coming back if they're agents in the same town, because the tenant demand will be the same. As an agent, I would often have people come to me with a short list of properties, and they've literally just got them in a pack and said, "Okay, which one should I buy?" And we'll sit there and we'll have a look at what we think their anticipated gross rental income would be, and then we can work out what the yield is off the back of that, and then that helps them to have a short list of properties to investigate further.
Well, that's a great note to end on, Nick, because as you've really just indicated, always go for cash flow, month-on-month cash flow, and that enables people to stay in the game long enough to actually benefit from any potential capital growth. So thanks very much to Nick at Northwood for joining us here, where we've been talking about Landlord Basics.